They take the crushing hits that knock even the toughest athletes flat. No pads, no helmet, nothing can truly protect you from the damage. But while concussions may seem like a problem for the NFL pros, they're also hitting much closer to home.
Just kind of like charged me over, and like I felt like my head like shake back like a couple times.
Tiny Megan Flanagan may not be a 200-pound wide receiver, but she still knows what it's like to get leveled.
I was like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. So I got the ball and I scored. And then it was halftime and I just like got all dizzy and I felt nauseous.
It was a concussion, her second, and it sidelined her for the entire field hockey season. Her coach, her trainer, and her doctor benched her, worried about future problems.
It's really hard because you just want to get in the game and like you're just sitting there.
Sitting out for safety's sake, but that doesn't happen with every kid.
I got slammed on my head and I don't remember really the rest of the match, but apparently I wrestled through it.
Dazed and confused as a high school wrestler, Cyrus Fisher says he fought through the pain of 6 concussions simply because no one stopped him.
And if that's frightening, it ought to be, because it frightens me.
Dr. Kevin Crutchfield, a neurologist with LifeBridge Health, knows how devastating just one hit can be to a professional athlete. He's on the NFL concussion board, but now he's keeping one eye on the pros and another eye on a high school near you.
I still witness bad things happening with concussions, people turning their head the other way, putting kids back in games that shouldn't be put in.
This will define us as a football team.
Technically, an athlete with concussion symptoms can't suit up again until a medical professional clears him. That's a new rule for all Maryland public schools. But how do you determine who's taken a real hit to the head? Trainers, coaches, and game officials make the call on concussions.
It's very sporadic.
Baltimore County Senator Bobby Zirkin wants specific guidelines for concussion management.
It's more important right now that everybody understands that the scope of the problem is much larger than they thought it was just a few years ago.
It's hard to get a firm grasp on traumatic brain injuries here. Of the 5 school districts around Baltimore, only one, Howard County, is actually tracking concussions, racking up 439 in just 3 years.
We have to do something. We now know this. I think it becomes a liability if we don't put something in place.
But the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association is going to the bleachers to raise awareness, handing out 50,000 concussion magnets.
We truly believe that the real issue is education, and we think that, based on what our coaches have, based on what we have done, so far, that we think that that word is getting out there.
Sit down, ladies, sit down.
Part of the education is putting coaches back in the classroom. Starting this year, all 9,000 of them will have to go through a concussion management course. But it's not law, so it falls to the local districts to make sure their coaches get credit.
You're not going to step foot on that field unless you take that course. It only takes 10, 15 minutes.
But can a course on concussions train coaches well enough to make these calls? Athletic trainers could help, but you won't find them on every sideline. According to the National Athletic Trainers Association, less than half of Maryland's high schools have even one full-time trainer.
We're way behind.
And some feel Maryland may not get ahead on concussions until legal action is taken. Still, the MPSSAA says high schools already have a handle on the problem.
If you're doing what the law is going to require you to do, why do you need a law?
But some believe a bill in the hands of adults could ensure kids aren't subbed back in before their time.
If they weren't there, I would just like want to get back in the game and I could get injured again. But if they weren't stopping me, I would get back in.